Now that all of our guests are here, let me just start off the Twitter space by saying hello. I'm Rimberjack. I'm representing Ref Finance today. And today we have two very exciting projects with upcoming IDOs on Skyward that we'd love to introduce to our Refinians. Both of them coincidentally involve NFTs, but while often the criticism towards the NFT space is that, oh, it's only JPEGs that you can right-click save, blah, 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 these protocols are bringing the infrastructure and tooling to expand the frontier of NFTs, whether that's through incorporating DeFi elements or providing the infrastructure for the new creator economy. So we're very excited to have our guests DEIP and Far. Let's start with a round of introductions. Whoever feels comfortable to go first, please introduce yourself and your role at your project.
Yeah, sure. Hey, guys. So I'm Dima. I'm one of the co-founder of DEIP.World. So basically, I have a wide range of responsibility, mainly focusing on innovation, on financial parts, on investments. So, I mean, we are a startup. So everything you'd like to need to know. So just ask. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
All right, lovely. Well, let's get started. Usually we ask the projects to give us a one-liner, and then we try to unpack the concept from there. And DIP, how would you describe in one sentence your project?
Well, it's actually an infrastructure for creator economy for all creators. And this includes protocols, this includes constructor, and this includes portals with domain-specific applications.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. It seems like you struggle a little bit trying to condense everything into one sentence, but it seems very clear from your explanation. All right, we'd love to hear a little bit more about the origin story, maybe the background of both of your projects. So whoever feels comfortable, please go ahead. I'd like to pose this question. What is the main challenge or problem in the space you guys saw that made you come up with your project? Maybe if you could explain the rationale or motivation behind each of your projects, I think that would be a really good way to set the context.
Yeah, sure. So for DIP, this is for decentralized IP intelligent property. So basically, this is the abbreviation. And the idea behind was actually to liberate all creators all around the world. This sounds like a very great target, and now probably we know how to do it. And for this, you need an infrastructure. So basically, we're building on the app chain of Octopus, so creating, let me say, the infrastructure, and there are different protocols which are built on top. So these are three of them. So first one on the liquidity of the intangible assets, high value intangible assets. And the second one about DAO governance and microeconomics for creators. And the third one is DeFi instruments for intangible assets and for creators. So this is in the nutshell.
Right. That's very interesting that you say liberate all creators. Could you maybe give a brief explanation of the situation you see creators stuck in right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's rather simple. So we'd like to enable some instruments allowing creators to live from their aspiration. So not just to go somewhere, work for check, but just to live from their aspiration, from art, from music, so on and so forth, from movie making. So for this, you need an infrastructure. So we are building this infrastructure. So we will enable for sure different mechanisms for creators, including discovery, including valuation of these intangible assets, including financing and monetization of this of their work. So this is all what should be done end to end.
And I think this is a perfect time to kind of transition to the next question, which is why Near and why now? I know you guys touch a little bit about why you guys chose Near, but let's go a little bit into why you guys chose Near, and especially for Few and Far, why Near native rather than Aurora? And for DIP, what does it mean to be an app chain, and why Octopus Network?
Yeah, I would say this is twofold. So first of all, technical one, and from user experience, I mean, enabling easy entering and easy adoption. So first of all, back to 2017, we started to develop our own graphene-based blockchain, solving all these problems with scalability, interoperability, integration. But 2 years ago, we decided to go multi-chain, to be blockchain agnostic. That's why we migrated to Substrate and now introduce, let me say, fully fledged Substrate 3.0 functionality, and that's why we've seen that in terms of the integration, there is Octopus Network, which is introducing different application chains on Near, and I would say this was a perfect match from technical point of view. So we don't like to reinvent the bicycle. We'd like to use common infrastructure, to use common shared security, introduce on Octopus. So that's a nice match, I would say. So this from technical point of view, from user experience, I really love what Near is fundamentally doing. I mean, we have a really hard task to enable an adoption of quite complicated tech. So the easy integration, easy and introduction of new services, I think this is a key for adoption. And this is here, we are on the one page with Near, and that just fit.
Speaking of complicated tech, let's do a small detour into the DIP product and kind of figure out some of its core features and offerings. How would you just break down, as simply as possible, please,
Yes.
the features of DIP?
Yeah. This is actually, I mean, most complicated task. I mean, try to articulate all these complicated things in a simple way, but I try. So first of all, so we have basically three types of protocols. So three groups of protocols. So first one, it's about, let me say, tokenization of high value intangible assets. And if we say high value intangible assets, we mean music, arts, architecture, so movie scripts, technology, so something like this. And we do this with NFT. But if we say NFT, we mean that we do this with NFT 2.0, so next generation of NFT. And this implies that we are introducing fractionalized NFT, so embedded NFT, time-dependent NFT, so something new where you can actually build a new business logic on top of this. So this is the first group. The second one about governance. So we have this microeconomics of creators, investors, so some enterprises, some companies. So we need to put this together. And here we developed, I mean, different protocols just to easily build DAOs to enable, let me say, this governance and ownership in order to have, let me say, the common microeconomics. So this is two. And the three is about DeFi. And DeFi, underlying assets, is not crypto here. So we are talking about intangible assets and IP as underlying assets. So we're able to collateralize IP just to issue some early loans, just to make some staking, some yield farming. So everything what you know, we even can go to derivatives, business models, and so on and so forth. So these are three things, our main components. I hope it was easy and understandable.
Actually, you made it much easier than I expected it to be. Thank you so much for that. So it sounds like you guys are really trying to, like, when you say infrastructure, I really understand it now. These three protocols are basically creating a new economy and new governance model for an economy surrounding NFTs, basically, which are tokenizing intangible assets, like you say.
You got it. You hit the nail on the bottom. So basically here it's we need to apply a holistic approach. I mean, this is a rather complicated task. I mean, these are unstructured assets. What we are talking about first, we need to structure it. We need to make it liquid in order just to start to transfer from A to B. And we need to provide some, let me say, financing mechanism like early loans, like, let me say, help creators especially on the early stage when they are not famous, when they don't have an access to, let me say, just a normal finance mechanism, what we know in the daily life. So this is, let me say, the main components.
Okay. I would love to go into a little bit more detail of each aspect of the three protocols that you mentioned. And maybe we could illustrate it a bit better through some examples. I think you briefly mentioned something like an artist being able to finance themselves, whatnot. Let's start with the tokenization aspect. You mentioned music, you mentioned art, movie scripts. Is there an example that comes right now to your mind about what is being tokenized as NFT? And could you explain also with an example these fractionalized or time NFT 2.0s that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, all right. So basically, we have a very broad spectrum of intangible assets. But actually, I mean, the task is the same. So first of all, you need to put it on chain. So, and you need to issue NFT on top of this. And you can connect to this NFT different legal instruments, enabling, let me say, connection with the real world. And then you can also fractionalize this NFT to enable liquidity, right? So this is how it might work. So basically, I mean, even for music, for concerts, you can issue some NFT which will appear at a certain period of time just to show now the location of the concert or something like this. So I mean, there are too many options. So we're just experimenting on this. So this is one thing, and I think talking about DAO, so here I think we have three different user groups. So we have creators, which have, let me say, their own motivation. So we have investors, they have their own investors, motivations and incentives. So now the question is how to make alignment of these incentives, and this is done by, let me say, by distributing ownership within the DAO. And so we'd like to enable a quick way to any group, to any community, just to get transformation towards DAO. So I think this is in essence. And the last one, probably the best example, talking about DeFi instruments for intangible assets and for creative economy, early loans. So basically, what we can do, we can use IP as a collateral for issuing some loans. And this can be applied on early stage of development. And actually, I mean, this is sort of financing of early creative work. So these are three of them.
Okay, well, I think at this point, the question really is, and this is very fundamental and almost too obvious, what is it about NFTs that enable the liberation of the creator economy in conjunction with DAOs and this DeFi elements that traditional creator economy couldn't do?
Yeah, I would say NFT at the current time, this is sort of container. So we are using NFT just to transfer, let me say, asset from A to B, and this makes it liquid. And with liquidity, we can enable secondary market. We can enable, let me say, some price discovery mechanisms, everything what we know from the, let me say, other classes of assets.
Right, so they enable a whole new paradigm that was previously not possible, like at least in the Web 2 sphere. And then with NFT 2.0s, you get the complexity, sophistication even beyond that.
So in the nutshell, scarcity of intangible asset.
Right, absolutely. Okay, would you like to give maybe a further illustration? So I was looking through your documents and your website, and I got really stuck on this point. So all of these protocols coming together basically enable, for instance, an NFT artist being able to use their NFT collection or tokenizing their assets to self-finance their project without having to rely on, traditional platforms, without having to exploit their artwork or having to share autonomy over their data. Is there a favorite illustration of yours to illustrate how creators are empowered and how all of these protocols are involved in so doing?
So I think in our early days, we started with open science and with different, let me say, innovators. I mean, creating a lot of ideas around, let me say, new technologies and so on and so forth. So basically, just to take an example, for innovator coming to the platform and basically making collateralization of the IP can enable financing of this discovery stage. this early stage of the innovation development. And I think this is so-called valley of innovation death, where we know that 90% of all innovations and all ideas are not actually crossing and coming to commercialization because of this missing financing on the early stage. And actually, with collateralization of IP, we are solving this, and we are providing basically like a la bank loans on the early stage, supporting innovators.
Yeah, that's amazing. And also I am imagining through the fractionalization and also the DAO infrastructure, you also get this, in a way, blurring between the community and the creator, which is previously there was quite a gap between them before, right? Now you get to bring all of these stakeholders together, throw them under a DAO, and they get to have collective ownership and collective decision making, based on their autonomous will, rather than having to fight over, rights over like shareholders, who put in how much money and blah blah blah, all of that other stuff.
Exactly. Actually, we are blurring the line between innovating and investing.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. All right. Well, at this point, I'd love to ask, what's the DEIP token, DEIP token? How is it involved? What kind of utility does it have within the protocols that you've outlined?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a native token. This is not a proxy token. So this is used first of all for governance. So using this token, you can participate in voting. I mean, just to be a part of the main decision for ecosystem, and you are starting for this from day one. Then for sure, I mean. We also use this token as utility. So basically, we are enabling financial transactions and commercial transactions. And then we also, I mean, utilizing some DeFi instruments like staking, it farming. So basically, I mean, this is token just as an instrument for DeFi mechanism as well. So these three components.
Right. So if you're invested in the idea of DEIP, if you're invested in the protocol's future, then you would want to hold this, whether that's to participate in DeFi, the transactions, or even the governance itself.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an example, for sure, you can yield farm on different segments of creator economy, so you can see which one is performing better, and I mean, this provides, let me say, a nice leverage also within the technology field. So I mean, you can decide whether you are putting your assets on nanotechnology or some biology implications. So I mean, it's a wide range of business models we can apply here.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, I'd love to ask, personally, from your point of view, it seems like DEIP not only enables what we think of creators specifically, like artists or musicians and whatnot. You're talking about biology, you're talking about movies, you're talking about technology. Maybe from your personal point of view, who would you like to see in the creator economy enabled by DEIP?
So, as I said, this is a wide range, and you are absolutely right. I mean, interests are a bit different, but at the same time, we are talking about intangible assets. So, methodology we are using are comparable. So, for sure, we have interest, and we have, let me say, ambition to enable 1,000 portals within coming years. And portal for us, this is domain-specific application. So basically what we'd like to do, we not just build some protocols. I mean, we have also a constructor, and this is sort of a Lego-based, let me say, I would say, WordPress, if you think about Web 2 time. Yeah. So basically, I mean, by utilizing two modes of operation, either low code or even no code, you can create your own portal. And that means that if guys from Los Angeles, dealing with movie scripts coming to us and they have no clue about blockchain, they don't need to step into all these tech details and, I mean, just to get enabled. This is rather sophisticated. I mean, they just get in this constructor, and with constructor within several weeks, they can launch their own portal. And we think this is the way to adoption of Web3, adoption of our protocols. And this we will think bring, we say, 1 million new creators on Near ecosystem, something like this. So this is the way forward to adoption.
Okay, brilliant. You're not only enabling the future of the creator economy, but you're also making it possible by lowering the entry barrier through this no-code constructor tool, right?
Exactly. And this full match with the vision of Near, just to enable this easy user experience. I mean, we have a lot of integration, tons of wallets you need to integrate just to start operation. And this is too complicated. This is too complicated, especially for creator economy. If you have everything end to end, and this is nicely tested, so basically you have a constructor. I mean, think about your time when you constructed your own web page using such a web constructor. So imagine you have now such a constructor to build your Web3 application. And this is our aspiration, just to enable this and to guarantee that all experts coming from different domain specifics from creator economy can launch their own portal within several weeks.
Brilliant. Love that. If you're a creator, and whether that you're an artist, you're a scientist, whatever asset you have that is valuable and you want to tokenize it on chain, it seems like he has all of the right tools and also the accessibility in order to enable that. I think that's something really worth considering.
You summarize it nicely. And actually, we say intangible assets, but we can say this is about ideas. If you produce ideas, if you produce some knowledge, I mean, how to protect it, how to make discovery on this, how to make it liquid, how to make monetization. So we provide answers to all these questions.
Yeah, I think that's really encouraging, right? If you may not think of yourself as an artist in the traditional sense, but if you have a valuable idea and if you think that this is worth something, then I think finally Web3 enables you to own it and monetize it and actually finance to do greater things. That's a complete paradigm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I said it's about liberation of creators.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I totally get you now. Well, thank you so much for the little segment we had on going a little bit deeper into DEIP. Could you give us a little bit more detail about the upcoming IDO you have on Skyward? Maybe the dates, the supply, how is the price going to work? If you have any details on that, please feel free to share.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I'd like to say that today we have launched our mainnet. And this mainnet was launched on Octopus Network as an upchain. I think this is the third upchain introduced. So you can see that we talk IDO, but from day one, we provide also value in terms of the protocols, in terms of the, let me say, ecosystem for creators. So this is first thing which is done today. And then starting from tomorrow, we are going to start a deposit period on Skyward Finance. And this deposit period is going to be for 7 days. And then after 7 days, so on the 22nd of April, we are going to start sale. And so this is sale means auction, and this is basically price discovery. Okay, this is how it's going to work. Now some facts. We already done on Tuesday our first IDO, and this first IDO was done on Boca Chica Launchpad. And now I say something. So this IDO was finalized within 45 seconds. Yes, within 45 seconds. So this gives you an indication on demand, what we see on the quality of the project and, let me say, on the interest on creator economy. And this was, let me say, IDO, first come, first serve, with a fixed price of 1.5 cent. So as I said, with Skyward Finance, so we have an auction, and it's going to start with a deposit period tomorrow.
Okay, well, first of all, congratulations both on your successful mainnet launch and also the successful first IDO. That's very bullish for DEIP. As Dima has mentioned, Skyward is not a traditional platform. It is a price discovery mechanism. So this is your chance to get in from zero, starting at zero, price of zero, but the price will be determined ultimately by demand and supply Speaking of, what is the supply for the IDO on Skyward for DIP tokens?
Yes, so we are going to put 200 million DIP tokens, and this makes 5% of our overall supply.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other details regarding the IDO? I think I saw a little bit about potential airdrop as well as some of the funds going to Ukrainian aid. Is that true?
Exactly. There are two essential things what we are doing on top of the normal auctioning. So first one, it's going to be airdrop of 200K Octopus tokens, so which is equivalent around 450K USD. This is one thing. But the second thing is more important for us. So we decided to donate 10% of all our sales on IDOs, including the first IDO, to Ukraine. So these two things.
Wow, amazing. We are already hitting the hour, so I'm just going to leave you guys with the last question. We could have had far more conversations. I'm sorry that the time was limited, but for both DIP and FUNFAR, I'd love to ask, how can the Near community get more involved? So on top of participating in the IDOs, what else can the community do to keep up with you guys and maybe get more actively involved in your projects?
So maybe I can start. So from our side, we have launched ambassador program. So we also, let me say, open for anybody from Near ecosystem, Near community to start their own portals based on our constructor with help of our constructor. And so we see here a lot of synergies. So we are also about of easy user experience, fast adoption. So I think we have here a full match with Near fundamentals. So let's do it together.
Brilliant. And in order to kind of get in contact with the team with regards to the ambassador program or maybe help with the portals, how can they reach out to you?
So actually, you can find all contacts on our homepage, DEIP.World. And there are also social media links, so everything is available there. I mean, if you are somehow lost, just please write a message to me. I will help.
Okay. Well, you said it yourself, so beware of the consequences.
Yeah, I solve all problems, right?